The Miami Dolphins are unraveling right now. You got Tyreek Hill, who once again is involved in another domestic incident. I was listening to the 911 call that I guess his mother in law made, the mother of his now newly divorced wife, when I guess they were scared he was going to throw the baby off the patio. And then you got Jalen Ramsey, who is now on the trade block. And when Vic Fangio, the current defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, who just helped them win a Super Bowl, ended up parting ways mutually with this organization, it was a foreshadowing of what was to come, which is a situation that the Dolphins are in now, where you just have to make a complete reset when it comes to the culture in your locker room. Vic Fangio did a fantastic job with the Miami Dolphins defense during his time as a defensive coordinator. For the amount of injuries that he had to deal with, the Dolphins still had a top 12, top 15 defense that year. But Vic Fangio had a lot of friction with the players on the defense side of the ball that he was working with. He had a problem with their work ethic, their commitment to the game, and players didn't really like his old school coaching philosophy, being hard nosed, being a disciplinarian, holding guys accountable. They didn't like that. And they didn't like that they had a coach that wanted them to act like professionals, to act like champions. And it's no wonder now you have Mike McDaniel at the end of the season in the press conference saying guys are continually showing up to meetings late, and it doesn't matter if you find them, they still continue to do it. That's because there's a lack of respect in the organization between the players and the coach. When you have guys that are unwilling to take coaching from somebody that has been one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL for over a decade, a guy whose defense has influenced nearly half of the current defensive coordinators in the league, it's an indictment on the culture of your organization. And the Miami Dolphins look soft, which is what they were when Vic Fangio left. When Vic Fangio left, he pretty much said, guys don't want to work, guys don't want to be coach hard. They want to be a soft football team. And that's why the Dolphins struggle to win these big games. That's why they continue to fold during the second half of the year, why they continue to get pushed around every time they play the Buffalo Bills, why they continue to be a one-and-done playoff team, because they lack discipline, because they are a poorly coached team. You can have the best roster in the world and not have anything to show for it come playoff time because you are an easy wild card exit, because you're a poorly coached team that doesn't have the ability to be disciplined. And Vic Fangio exposed everything that was to come with the current situation that the Dolphins are in. A lot of the issues that the Dolphins have isn't necessarily because they've paid the wrong guys, they've made bad draft picks. It's due to this team being soft from a mentality standpoint. You see, to be a physical football team, it's not just about having all of these great offensive linemen, these great defensive linemen. It starts up here. And Vic Fangio, from mentality standpoint, it doesn't get more hard-nosed and hardcore than him. And that's why he wanted to go to Philadelphia. Yeah, Philadelphia was his dream job, and he has a bunch of family members in that part of the country. But if the Dolphins were willing to put in more work, or at least the players were willing to put in the commitment that it took to be great, he wouldn't want to depart it from Miami. He was one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid defensive coordinator in the league. So it's not like the money wasn't good. They would compensated him pretty well. But it's hard to work with guys who are unwilling to put in the effort that it takes to be a championship team. You see, the Dolphins right now have to trade Tyreek Hill. They have to get rid of Jalen Ramsey, because these guys are not team-oriented individuals. My high school coach used to always say, one team, one goal. The Dolphins don't align with that. It's just a bunch of mercenaries running around. When you have Jalen Ramsey, Tyreek Hill always showing up to meetings late, it shows how unserious you are about winning. If Jalen Ramsey was playing for the Baltimore Ravens and he always showed up to meetings late, Lamar Jackson probably would be on his ass. The rest of the team would probably be on his ass because championship teams hold themselves accountable. Not just the coaches, but their fellow teammates. The Dolphins don't do that. They don't have leadership in this organization from the top down. You don't have leadership from the players. You don't have leadership from the coaches, at least leadership that these players respect. Mike McDaniel is one of my favorite coaches. He's a player-friendly coach, but to an extent where he's so friendly, his players don't take him serious enough. And when you look at him, he kind of reminds me of Leonard from the Big Bang Theory. With the glasses, the guy's wearing the off-white sneakers. It's hard to really take him seriously. If you were to see Mike McDaniel out in public, he wouldn't strike you as a dude that's a football coach. You would think that he's some kind of astrophysicist or he works for NASA or something. I never would have thought in a million years a guy like a Mike McDaniel would be a football coach. And when he first got hired by the Dolphins and I looked at him, I was like, are they going to be able to take this guy seriously? Are the players really going to respect him? Brian Flores had the respect of the players in the locker room. Yeah, he was hard on Tua, but Tua, even though he has flourished under Mike McDaniel, he still hasn't showed up in the big games when it has mattered the most. And Brian Flores kind of called Tua soft. And is Brian Flores wrong when you look at it now about what he has said about Tua? I don't really think so. The team embodies the personality of their head coach and of their quarterback. And that's why Vic Fangio got him on out of South Florida, because he didn't align with the soft mentality that is instilled in this Dolphins organization. The players weren't receptive to Vic Fangio's coaching, and it's no wonder why guys were routinely showing up late. With the departure of Vic Fangio, it exposed just how soft the Miami Dolphins truly were last season. Now, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey got to go because you got to reset the culture, and you're not going to be able to do that when you have two of the highest paid guys in your roster setting a bad example for the rest of the team.